Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us. I'm Beth Jones.
And I'm Peter Dubois. One man is in custody following an hours-long standoff with police in Levant today.
As our Doug Banks reports, it all began when police responded to a domestic violence incident.
According to Penobscot County Sheriff Troy Morton, at around 10 a.m. Wednesday morning, law enforcement responded to a domestic violence case involving a reported assault on a private road off of Levant Road. Deputies were able to quickly remove the female victim from the property, but Sheriff Morton says the male subject refused to cooperate with police.
Domestic violence situations can be very fluid, and the first and foremost, most important thing is to get victims away from a residence or a situation, and that's what occurred here.
It was at this time, Sheriff Morton says the man fired rounds behind the property, and when an attempt at renegotiations were made, another round of gunfire from the suspect followed. This prompted 2 warrants to be issued, along with state and county agencies called to the scene. After exiting and re-entering the home multiple times, the male subject eventually surrendered to law enforcement, and he was brought to Penobscot County Jail. Although a local elementary school was less than a mile away from the scene, Sheriff Morton says they were never in any danger.
The school was notified and was very cooperative, but we felt like the resources here were plenty and enough to protect the school and homes in and around the residents.
The name of the man involved has not been released. No one was hurt, and the situation was resolved shortly after 6 p.m.
Deputies will continue the investigation throughout the evening, obviously recovering evidence from the scene, which would include firearms and or other evidence that may be there. Individual had been taken into custody, was not hurt during the incident, nor were any law enforcement officers. He's been taken to the Penobscot County Jail where it would be processed.
In Levant, Doug Banks, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Tomorrow marks 6 months since the tragic mass shooting in Lewiston. A gunman killed 18 people and injured 13 others when he opened fire at Just-in-Time Recreation and Schmenge's Bar and Grill. As the community continues to heal, the Maine Resiliency Center is hosting a commemoration event for the victims, their families, and the public. The event will take place at 6:30 tomorrow at the Simard Payne Memorial Park. The remembrance ceremony will include moments of silence and remarks. Organizers are asking the community to show their support.
Trauma and grief like this are not something you just get over. They're something that you learn to live with. And so for the members of the community who are impacted by this tragedy, they're learning every day how to live with this tragedy and grief and how to build a life around that. And so this is a really great opportunity for the community to show their support of those that were directly impacted by this event.
Organizers are also asking people to light and display candles in their windows tomorrow evening.
In other news, closing arguments today in a case that could result in a sheriff's removal from office, something that hasn't happened in Maine in almost a century. Today, folks heard from Oxford County Sheriff Christopher Wainwright testifying about his conduct and actions in uniform. Owen Kingsley has details from the final day of the hearing.
Oxford County Sheriff Christopher Wainwright now awaits his fate after attorneys representing him and the county commissioners laid out their closing arguments Wednesday.
Good morning, Sheriff Wainwright.
Good morning.
Sheriff Wainwright faced cross-examination during the second day of the hearing that will decide his future. The crux of the issue from county commissioners, Wainwright admits he traded in guns from the sheriff's department's evidence locker and didn't keep records of those transactions. County commissioners say while service weapons can be traded in, guns from the evidence locker cannot, something he chalked up to as a miscommunication.
I felt that it was understood, but apparently it wasn't.
Under Wainwright's tenure, 2 uncertified law enforcement officers served as school resource officers and carried guns.
Allowing the SROs to do so, however competent they were, is a clear violation of law and a source of tremendous liability risk for the county, the department, and the sheriff personally.
Wainwright's attorney says he was first made aware of the issue last year and that they were hired in 2018 before he became sheriff. He says new SROs were put in those schools about 4 months after he was made aware of the issue.
I would attest that is the definition of efficient performance of your duties.
In their closing arguments, both sides passionately made their final pitch.
The removal of Sheriff Wainwright now would not only be reasonable, but it's necessary. And Oxford County government cannot effectively function otherwise.
Sheriff Wainwright has carried out the duties of his office to the best of his ability, in good faith, with an unwavering commitment to public safety.
Both sides will have one more opportunity to present a final written statement to Justice Alexander before he makes his recommendation to Governor Mills.
And that was Owen Kingsley reporting. Healthcare officials say a new federal staffing rule will put a strain on an already struggling nursing home system in Maine. On Monday, the Biden administration released final rules that will require nursing homes to have minimum staffing levels, to include having a registered nurse on site 24/7. The new rules emerged from problems during the COVID-19 pandemic when many nurses left the industry. Angela Westhoff from the Maine Healthcare Association says if the rules aren't changed or repealed, this will have more negative effects for facilities in the state.
The negative impact could be grave. We've already experienced over 25 nursing home closures in the last 10 years. And so we're already in a crisis situation. It really is probably the #1 issue facing nursing homes across the entire country, not just here in Maine. So for the administration to issue this rule requiring more staff, which is wonderful. I mean, we all want more staff, but no recognition of the fact that we are facing a historic crisis.
Westhoff says nursing homes in Maine will have between 2 to 3 years to comply with the new standards before enforcement begins.
An organization that connects fishermen with healthcare resources will be offering wellness checkups between April 29th and May 3rd. The Northeast Center for Occupational Health and Safety will have services available in both Stonington and Vinyl Haven. The point of the program is to provide a convenient way for fishermen to monitor their health while juggling their busy schedules.
I understand that if they're not working, they're not making money. And so even taking time to see a doctor can be difficult.
Well, the program provides non-invasive assessments ranging from blood pressure and cholesterol checks to height, weight, and vision assessments. Local fishermen and women who take part in the Wheelhouse program will receive a health scorecard, which they can take to their doctors if needed.
We want to be more accommodating to fishermen's schedules, and we are willing to go earlier in the morning or stay later in the evenings so that we can work around their schedule as much as we can.
Their services will be available at both the Stonington Island Community Center and the Vinyl Haven Town Office once again on April 29th and May 3rd. Fishermen who stop in will also receive a $50 gift card. To learn more, you can visit our website, foxbangor.com.
Maine law prevents residential electricity service from being disconnected during the winter months. Well, now that spring is here, many customers are finding themselves behind on their bills. Our Augusta reporter Corey Bouchard spoke with Maine's 2 largest power companies to learn more about relief that might be available.
During that 5-month period from November 15th to April 15th, sometimes customers can get behind on their bills for a variety of reasons.
Under Maine law, for safety reasons, utility companies can't disconnect service during the winter months. Marissa Miner of Versant Power says the number of people who fall behind on their bills are more than you might think.
Last year, we sent about 60,000 letters. We expect that same number this year. And of that 60,000 last year, about 2,000 customers were actually disconnected, and about 1,500 were restored within a week.
Jonathan Breed of Central Maine Power says just because you're behind on your bill doesn't mean they'll be disconnecting your service right away.
During the collections process, it's really a long process. We make a number of calls, emails, paper letter, traditional mail. If a customer is struggling to pay their bill or has questions, the first step is to give us a call.
Miner says there are a number of different resources available to help you get back on track and keep the lights on.
We can put them on a payment plan, we can connect them with different community action programs, and we can work with them to avoid disconnection.
211 Maine has a lot of great information, and for example, like the ELP program, if a customer qualifies, they can receive up to $1,200 in payments or financial assistance for their bill.
Both CMP and Versant say it's better to be proactive and reach out to them if you're having trouble paying your bills before you receive a disconnect notice. In Augusta, I'm Corey Bouchard for ABC7 and Fox 22 News.
All right, and as we take a look outdoors today, things pretty dreary out there. Not the nicest day to be spending a lot of time outside.
Yeah, no, this is one of those days where you catch up on your cleaning or, something of that nature. But, overall, it's been a pretty nice week so far. Unfortunately, there's more sunshine on the way. As for the rest of this evening, well, let's get a first check of our forecast.
Your weather is brought to you by Jordan's Furniture. It's not just a store, it's also an experience. Let's talk weather out there for us today. Lots of rain showers and a couple snow flurries across the area right now. Nothing heavy, but it's going to end up leaving us this evening. Then tomorrow is going to be a very nice day. Still a bit cool, though, with high temperatures in the low 50s and a bit windy, but overall sunshine is back in the forecast for us tomorrow. As high pressure is building in for several days around here now. We're going to keep things dry for tomorrow and for Friday and for Saturday and for Sunday before we get some light rain showers in here, most likely on Sunday night. The wind out there now, northwest around gusting near 20. We're going to keep this going tonight and throughout the day tomorrow. So still wind gusts near 20 miles per hour overnight tonight, with temperatures in the 50s across the area today here in Bangor. Only 48 for Bar Harbor, 45 Millinocket. That's not normal. We should be in the mid 50s. We're going to get there beginning most likely on Friday. Our forecast though for tonight though is partly cloudy skies to mostly clear skies and low temperatures in the 20s. Your full forecast is coming up.
All right, thank you so much, Jeff. And coming up, we'll be taking a look at a week of service at the University of Maine.
And also some legislation proposed to remove hazing from college campuses. Stay with us.
You're in the driver's seat. You choose what road to take. But soon, you'll be taking a back seat to big government because President Biden just banned most new gas-powered cars. They've made it clear it's their way or the highway, even if electric vehicles aren't right for you or your family. Call Senator King. Tell him to stop the car ban before it's too late. Don'tBanOurCars.com. Paid for by American Fuel and Petrochemical Manufacturers.
Higher shipping rates may be the cost of doing business, but at what cost?
Turn shipping to your advantage with low-cost ground shipping from the United States Postal Service.
Hood milking you. It's why we do what we do, day in and day out. Making milk you can trust, with no artificial growth hormones. And we protect Hood milk with our light block bottle. We care about our milk because we know how much you care about what you give your family. So you can feel good about Hood.
Liberty Mutual customized my car insurance and I saved hundreds.
That's great.
I know, I've been telling everyone.
Liberty. Liberty. How many people did you tell?
Only pay for what you need.
Liberty, liberty, liberty.
Liberty.
The Legacy Sandwich, where you can find quality, homemade sandwiches that are made to order. When it comes to food, we take it seriously. That's why we serve shredded chicken and turkey on our sandwiches, and our bacon is cooked fresh daily. To pair with your sandwich, we also have a selection of homemade soups, macaroni salad, and baked goods for dessert. The Legacy Sandwich, voted Bangor's best deli sandwich shop for the past 12 years running. It's not just a sandwich, it's a legacy. Give us a call today.
This is going to be the toughest next level chef yet.
I want my mom.
Only the best will survive.
All new Next Level Chef, Thursdays at 8, 7 Central on Fox.
Hello, I'm Emma Smith, and coming up on Good Morning Maine, we'll hear how a new federal nursing rule will affect healthcare workers here in Maine. And we'll check in with Herman Elementary as they have their first children's author visit since before the pandemic. It's been a long time coming. These stories plus that full forecast coming up on Good Morning Maine.
The University of Maine is known for its historic volunteer-centered holiday known as Maine Day that lands on the last Wednesday in April. However, this past year it went through a major transformation to discourage students from participating in off-campus gatherings and encourage more service efforts. Our Grace Blanchard has more.
Just thinking about the big picture. How do we want to make the world better every day?
All week long, students at the University of Maine have been participating in various service and philanthropic efforts for Spirit Week, from raking leaves to shaving heads for childhood cancer funds.
This is our 14th annual UMaine Shaving Saves event. In total, over the past 14 years, we have raised $148,000 and we have shaved 662 heads.
The Maine Day of Service tradition has historically been a day off for students to focus on volunteer efforts.
We definitely have hundreds of students that are getting involved and trying to give back. It's a little different where we have classes and it's not a full day where everybody can dedicate themselves to it, but they're trying awful hard.
This past year, the university announced they'd be transforming Main Day into Spirit Week out of safety concerns from off-campus gatherings.
Thousands of students were gathering at off-campus apartment dwellings, having big parties. Dangerous drinking, frankly, and dangerous risk-taking behaviors.
The majority of the gatherings were connected to the Avenue at Orono apartment complex. Heavy police presence was seen in the area in anticipation of the day. However, university officials say last year's gathering was much smaller since the Main Day week transformation.
Much energy gets focused on the one day. And so we're trying to say, diffuse that, relax, it's going to be okay, let's have some fun. Let's not be crazy about it.
Service efforts will continue for the entirety of the week. In Orono, Grace Blanchard for ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Senators Susan Collins and Angus King have signed on to bipartisan legislation to prevent hazing on college campuses. The Stop Campus Hazing Act requires hazing incidents be included in a college's annual crime report. It also requires higher education institutions to establish a campus-wide research-based program to educate students about the dangers of hazing. It increases transparency by providing parents and students with better information about which on-campus student organizations have a history of hazing. The national study of student hazing found more than half of college students involved in extracurricular clubs, athletic teams, and organizations experience hazing. In a joint statement, Senators King and Collins said, quote, hazing is a harmful, far too common practice that puts students' well-being in danger, especially when the students feel like they don't have the ability to remove themselves from a situation, end quote. All right, and coming up, we'll be taking a look at some headlines from across the nation.
Absolutely. Lots more to come, folks. Stay with us.
Transform your surroundings with Paramount Paving, located in Bangor. They are your paving and seal coating experts. Whether it's residential maintenance to full commercial projects, Paramount Paving delivers quality that lasts. Book before June 1st and enjoy a $250 Visa gift card upon completion of your next paving project. Call us today at 602-8931 or visit us at ParamountPavingLLC.com. Paramount Paving, setting the standard for excellence. When it comes to paving, we are Paramount.
Great Scott! This is Green Bear 420 in 2010. What kind of trip is this? I gotta get back to 2023. Wait, it's 2015. So much has changed. In 2023, we had a lot more glass, t-shirts, and novelties. It's gonna take a bolt of lightning to get me home. Finally, home at last. Now Green Bear 420, Green Bear Green Care is bigger and better than ever. To be continued.
So, all of us are here to talk about trading. Right now at US Cellular, you can get a new phone without having to trade in your old one.
Trade you my PB&J for that phone.
No, kid, you don't have to trade. See? $830 off any phone at US Cellular. No trade-in needed.
You drive a hard bargain. Boom. Chocolate milk.
You don't have to trade.
I'll take the chocolate milk.
Okay.
Get $830 off any phone. No trade-in needed with any unlimited data plan.
A quality replacement window made with Fibrix material, which is twice as strong as vinyl, delivered through a stress-free process. Welcome to Renewal by Andersen. Get the peace of mind knowing Renewal by Andersen handles everything, from start to finish. With one call, you'll enjoy working with the best people, exclusive products, and a superior process.
It's the people.
It's the process.
It's the product.
Call now to get our exceptional signature service. This fantastic offer is available only for a limited time. Renewal by Andersen, the better way to a better window.
Hanks Husqvarna is your full-line Husqvarna dealer with 2 convenient locations, 32 Old State Road in Carmel and 19 Moosehead Trail in Newport. Whether it's tractors and zero turns, chainsaws to trimmers, or pressure washers to battery power, everything is set up, serviced, and ready to go by our certified Husqvarna technician. And all sales are backed by our in-house Husqvarna warranty.
For parts, service, or sales, stop in to Hanks Husqvarna, Carmel or Newport.
There's one number you need to know. It's called Joe.
The U.S. Supreme Court justices are considering arguments heard Wednesday about whether state abortion restrictions are invalidated by federal law. Fox's David Spunt has details from outside the court.
Today's case originates in Idaho, but could have wide-ranging implications for states with strict abortion laws.
Abortion is murder!
At issue now, whether Idaho's near-total abortion ban is at odds with a federal law protecting patients in emergency situations, including pregnant women. The Biden administration sued Idaho, arguing abortions may need to be performed when the woman's life and health are at stake. The justices divided, with some questioning the federal government's power.
How can you impose restrictions on what Idaho can criminalize simply because hospitals in Idaho have chosen to participate in Medicare?
But the court's liberal justices question the state's authority.
It's not all the state's way. Within these rare cases, there's a significant number where the woman is, her life is not imperiled, but she's going to lose her reproductive organs. She's going to lose the ability to have children in the future, unless an abortion takes place.
Idaho's law only provides an abortion exception to save a woman's life. The Justice Department argues a 1986 law ensures patients get appropriate stabilizing treatment in emergency situations, including abortions if necessary. Today's arguments highlight a divisive social issue playing out on the campaign trail. The justices held separate arguments last month over nationwide access to the abortion drug mifepristone. The justices will issue a decision in both cases by the end of June. At the Supreme Court, David Spunt, Fox News.
Families of the victims of two Boeing 737 MAX crashes met with prosecutors from the DOJ on Wednesday, urging them to criminally prosecute the airline manufacturer. Fox's Kevin Corke is in Washington with the latest on this and the Justice Department's probe.
Prosecutors with the Department of Justice meeting with family members of victims of two deadly Boeing 737 crashes. The back-to-back crashes in 2018 and 2019, then launching a probe by the FBI and the DOT. The Justice Department faulting Boeing for how it communicated with the FAA about 737 MAX flight control systems. That later sent the jets into fatal nosedives. Now, 4 months after a fuselage panel on a Boeing 737 MAX ripped off midair, the DOJ is probing a criminal investigation into Boeing.
It is inconceivable to me that 4 months since the Alaska Air door blowout, there's even a question of whether things have changed. I hope the Justice Department reaches that same obvious conclusion.
The families argue Boeing violated a 2021 deal with prosecutors to overhaul its compliance program. Now, the families are urging the Fed to criminally prosecute Boeing.
It seems to us that the Justice Department, unfortunately, continues to be in bed with Boeing.
Their meeting comes as Boeing is midway through a 90-day mandate by the FAA to develop a comprehensive plan to address what the administration calls systemic quality control issues.
That's going to be a very important part of them being able to prove to the FAA's satisfaction that it is acceptable for them to increase their production.
Until Boeing completes its plan, the FAA is only permitting the company to expand its 737 MAX production by a fraction of what it had planned, something the Transportation Secretary acknowledges has negatively impacted some U.S. airlines. In Washington, Kevin Corke, Fox News.
President Biden officially signed into law a $95 billion foreign aid package supporting Ukraine, Israel, and Taiwan. Lawmakers, however, also took aim at TikTok. The popular social media app is now forced to find a new owner or face a ban. Fox's Rebecca Castor explains.
We don't walk away from our allies. We stand with them. That's what it means to be the indispensable nation.
President Joe Biden signed into law a major foreign aid package Wednesday, sending critical military assistance to Ukraine and aid to Israel and Taiwan.
It should have been easier and it should have gotten there sooner. But in the end, we did what America always does.
I want to thank you for such significant support, very important support to President Biden, to Congress.
The Defense Department is already preparing to send $1 billion worth of military equipment to Ukraine, including air defense systems, ammunition, and armored vehicles. But there's something else included in the newly signed law, a potential ban on TikTok. Lawmakers are concerned about the popular app's ties to the Chinese Communist Party and want to force its parent company to sell.
I believe it is not
a ban. It will be a divestiture. We could have an American company own it. We could have a French company, a British company, a Brazilian company.
Just not the CCP.
But it's not the CCP.
TikTok CEO denies the Chinese government has access to American data and plans to fight the law in court.
Rest assured, we aren't going anywhere. We are confident and we will keep fighting for your rights in the courts. The facts and the Constitution are on our side, and we expect to prevail.
Despite the security concerns and the potential ban, the Biden campaign says it will continue to post to its TikTok account in order to reach young voters. In Washington, Rebecca Castor, Fox News.
Well, it's well known that taking quick action to combat cancer can save lives, and time is of the essence. With the National Institutes of Health reporting delaying cancer care by as little as 6 weeks can decrease a patient's survival by up to 13%. But when it comes to lung cancer, one small robot could be proving huge outcomes and speeding up diagnoses of the disease. Fox's Ted Lindner takes a closer look.
A new robot could help combat the deadliest cancer in the country. The National Cancer Institute estimates about 125,000 people in the U.S. will die from lung cancer this year. With doctors citing how early detection is key to saving lives, California medical experts are unveiling a new robot they say can help provide faster and safer diagnoses.
One of the main things that people can get when they get a CT scan of their lungs that shows up is a spot in their lungs called a nodule.
The presence of nodules can send patients in a panic, with many worrying they could be a sign of cancer. But some nodules are too small or hard to reach for doctors to analyze.
This tool allows us to go after almost any nodule in the lung to try to provide patients with diagnostic certainty. When we can give patients diagnoses, we can alleviate some of their anxiety, and/or we can make treatment decisions.
The robot goes down the patient's throat to reach the lungs in a less invasive operation. The small device then travels through the maze of branches in the lungs, letting doctors see what's inside with help from a virtual map of the organs created from a CT scan.
And so this allows us to, one, get to the nodules that radiology could not otherwise get to. Two, biopsy nodules from the inside, which has a much lower risk of lung collapse.
Doctors have already used the bot on 3 patients and hope the tool provides results and peace of mind for many more in the future. Ted Lindner, Fox News.
Just another instance of science blowing your mind.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Crazy to think just that little device could help us learn so much and prevent, or I guess get ahead of cancer care.
It's just really amazing, like who thinks of these things, who knows how to build them, and then the doctors operate them. It's just incredible.
It truly is.
All right, folks, well, there is more to come. Stay with us.
With features you won't find on CR-V, RAV4, or Forester, only a Tucson compares to a Tucson. Lease an all-wheel drive Tucson for $229 a month, or get 3.79% APR, or up to $2,500 bonus cash. Hurry, offers end soon.
Refine, your local expert in window and door installation, carpentry repairs, and commercial facilities management. At Refine, we're proud to offer Maine-made Paradigm windows crafted with care and precision to ensure quality and durability like no other. From quaint cottages to bustling businesses, let us refine your space with our signature Maine-made touch. Trust Refine to exceed your expectations every time. Contact us today and let Maine craftsmanship elevate your home or business. Rise with Refine.
Hood milking you. It's why we do what we do. Day in and day out. Making milk you can trust. With no artificial growth hormones. So you can feel good about Hood.
An official message from Medicare.
A new law is helping us save more money on prescription drugs. Maybe you can save too. With Medicare's Extra Help program, our drug premiums are zero, and our out-of-pocket costs are low.
I enrolled and I'm saving money. If you're single and make less than $23,000 a year, or are a married couple making less than $31,000, you may qualify and save, even if you don't think you qualify. It pays to find out.
Go to ssa.gov/extra-help.
When My Mechanic Company wants to know the local forecast, they log on to foxbangor.com. My Mechanic Company, located in Carmel, is your go-to for auto repair. Whether you need brakes, tires, diagnostics, or a state inspection, My Mechanic has you covered. Come see why My Mechanic should be your mechanic.
Welcome to 207 Wellness, where transformation begins from within. Embark on a journey of self-betterment with our comprehensive services from weight management to IV hydration, vitamin supplementation, and neurotoxin injections. 207 Wellness is here to support your wellness goals. Take the first step toward a healthier, happier you, rejuvenate your body, refresh your mind, and reclaim your vitality with 207 Wellness. Transform your wellness, transform your life. Give us a call today.
With features you won't find on CRV, RAV4, or Forester, only a Tucson compares to a Tucson. Lease an all-wheel drive Tucson for $229 a month, or get 3.79% APR, or up to $2,500 bonus cash. Hurry, offers end.
Lawmakers in New York are pushing a bill that would force large companies to reduce their plastic packaging. The food and toy industries are not happy about it. Fox's Jeff Flock is in Philadelphia with more.
Product packaging. These days you can't almost buy anything without it, and some of the packaging more robust than others. If you've ever bought Kraft individually wrapped singles, you know there's about as much plastic here as there is cheese. But this plastic is winding up increasingly in landfills, and states trying to do something about that. New York, the latest, considering a bill called the Packaging Reduction and Recycling Infrastructure Act. It applies just to big companies with $1 million or so in sales each year, and it would force the companies to cut packaging winding up in landfills by 50% over the next 12 years or so. And they would also have to help pay for recycling. It is what's called an extended product responsibility law. 33 states already have such laws applying to specific products like batteries, electronics, motor oil, things that are hard to recycle. Now, 4 states, California, Colorado, Maine, and Oregon, are passing these laws to pertain to packaging. And multiple other states, including now New York, are considering such a bill. The toy industry says it is going to be most hard hit by this because a lot of the toys are packed in plastic, and not least among these Barbie, which perhaps you can see, in addition to being plastic, she's packaged in a lot of plastic. And the toy industry says there's reason for all of this packaging to protect the products and protect consumers, but if this bill passes, it's definitely going to cost more money for you.
All of that translates into increased costs for companies, either in transit of the product, the quality of the product, returns of the product, all of which in my mind mean that eventually prices are going to go up across the board for products.
Other critics point out that manufacturers already have plenty of incentive to reduce packaging as much as they can, and they point out that in, say, the case of the Kraft singles, the reason for the packaging is both safety as well as convenience.
If this goes through, we're just not going to see as much sliced cheese. We're going to have to do a lot more slicing of cheese ourselves. The price will be higher. What are we achieving by this really intrusive ban and restrictions on plastics? And I would argue we're achieving very, very little.
Did you ever buy a pair of scissors, get it home, and realize that in order to open it, you need a pair of scissors? Complex problem out there, not one that is likely easily solved. I'm Jeff Flock with the Fox Business Network.
Meanwhile, Efficiency Maine says a new rebate system they put in place in September is generating an increasing amount of buzz and paying off for customers despite pushback from utility companies. Efficiency Maine's heat pump rebate structure is a tiered system based on income. If you're a low-income household in Maine, you're eligible for an 80% rebate on the cost of your heat pump project up to an $8,000 cap. Moderate income households can get up to a 60% rebate with a $6,000 cap, and all other income levels are eligible for a 40% rebate up to a $4,000 cap. The system you purchase must be sufficient to heat your entire home, and Efficiency Maine says the rebates make a heat pump system affordable for all, despite claims that only wealthy homeowners can afford them.
Since we launched this in September, the majority of homes that have participated in the program have been low income or moderate income, more than half.
Says there's also an annual federal tax credit for those installing and using heat pumps, and there is the added benefit that the heat pumps can then also cool your home in the summer months. He says anyone interested in getting a heat pump should check out Efficiency Maine's website. That's efficiencymaine.com.
Indeed. And summer is coming.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And you are seeing a lot more of these heat pumps popping around all over the place. They certainly are an efficient way to heat and cool your home.
Yeah, you get kind of that 2-for-1, which is always great. The rebate makes it better. The tax credit makes it better. So you hope that more folks can do that. It's kind of important to kind of siphon off our dependency on heating oil, at least to some extent, if we possibly can, and just looking at all the options that we have to take care of our homes.
Absolutely. You did mention summer is on its way. Things getting warmer out there day by day.
Indeed. So with that in mind, our full 5-day is coming up. Stay with us.
The rain and snow showers out there now will end shortly, followed by a very nice day tomorrow. Still a bit cool, followed by then 60s are back in the forecast for the weekend. Details on that when I come back.
The circus is coming! The circus is coming!
Don't miss this exciting new show featuring Bell & Knott comedy act as seen on America's Got Talent, Daredevil, comedian, legend, and more. The Anna Shrine Circus, April 26th, 27th, and 28th at the Bangor Cross Insurance Center.
Maine's #1 Kia dealer, Van Sickle Kia, makes driving a new car affordable. Right now, lease a brand new Kia Forte for just $199 a month. You get 41 mpg highway and tons of technology. Or lease a brand new all-wheel drive Kia Seltos for just $259 a month. Or buy a brand new Kia Sportage for under $30,000. And best of all, every new Kia at Van Sickle comes with Kia's 10-year or 100,000-mile warranty. The best in the business, making driving affordable at Van Sickle Kia.
The best cars, the best prices, and the best warranty. I'm Peter Van Sickle. I guarantee it.
Mesothelioma is more than a ravaging illness. It is a disease that can ruin a family's finances and is never the victim's fault. The law offices of Joe Bornstein has been fighting and winning for Maine families for nearly 50 years, and we've collected over $500 million for injured Mainers. If you or a loved one is a victim of mesothelioma or asbestos-related lung cancer, call Joe today for a free case evaluation and to learn about your family's legal rights. Dial 207-CALL-JOE or online at joebornstein.com.
Protect your vehicle from rusting away with Bell's Automotive Protection. We are the leader in mobile undercoating and rust proofing in Maine. We'll travel right to your driveway using the best and safest products on the market. This is much safer than rubberized coatings that can cause damage later on. We spray all types of vehicles, including commercial fleets. We all know vehicles aren't cheap anymore. Don't let the harsh winter chemicals eat them away. Call us or visit our page for a free quote. 207-659-3805.
The circus is coming! The circus is coming!
Don't miss this exciting new show featuring Bell & Knott comedy act as seen on America's Got Talent, Daredevil, comedian, legend, and more. The Anna Shrine Circus, April 26th, 27th, and 28th at the Bangor Cross Insurance Center.
Birmingham, touchdown, Houston, or San Antonio, Arlington. The United Football League, Saturday at 7 Eastern on Fox.
Here we go. Your full weather is brought to you by Diversified Ink Tattoo Studio in Penobscot Plaza in Bangor. Let's talk about the weather going forward, though. Rain showers out there today, cooler temperatures out there now, and a couple of flurries across the area. I know it's not fair, but these will leave the area for tonight and tomorrow. We have sunshine back in the forecast pretty much all day long tomorrow and also on Friday, followed by some more cloud cover on Saturday. But overall, high pressure, this one here, it's building in. That's going to give us a pretty nice weekend around here as well. Look at the vast expanse of this thing really across the Midwest and Great Lakes area. High pressure, this is your friend, it's sinking air. It's tough to get bad weather out of that. That's all sliding in this direction. So our next chance for meaningful rain, not until probably Sunday night into Monday. So the snow flurries out there now are ending, turning mostly clear overnight tonight and cold. Hard freeze out there with low temperatures in the 20s. And I'm going to run this through Sunday, 2 o'clock in the morning, increasing clouds on Sunday, but the rain should hold off until probably late Sunday night, but probably more so on Monday morning. And the rain looks like this, so a pretty good soaking rainfall is on the way for some locations. We could see close to an inch of rain, not through Sunday, but after Sunday. A pretty wet system gets in here probably later Sunday into Monday. That could give us another ½ inch to an inch of rainfall across our region. The wind out there today got a little gusty, right? Northwest now gusting near 25 or so. We're going to keep this going tonight and throughout the day tomorrow, but it's going to begin to die down about this time tomorrow evening. It could actually go calm for several hours tomorrow night and throughout the day on Friday, and that's going to feel very nice around here, as you know. Until then, though, a small craft advisory out there for wave heights around 8 to 10 feet through about midday-ish tomorrow. If you are sniffling and sneezing, this could be a reason why the tree pollen is now up to moderate to high category across our region. That will likely increase through this week as well. And watch the grass pollen, too, likely to take off here pretty soon. Probably not this week, but next week or the week after across our area. Temperatures today a bit cool, right? 50 here in Bangor, 48 for Bar Harbor. That's not normal. Average high mid-50s, upper 50s. Nobody did that today, but tomorrow we'll get closer across parts of our area. For tonight, though, the snow showers out there now are ending. Decreasing clouds, low temperatures, cold, right? A hard freeze tonight with low temperatures down near 22 and that gusty northwest wind. For tomorrow, a nice recovery. So lots of sunshine tomorrow, still a bit breezy. That northwest wind could gust near 25 to 30 as high temperatures reach for 50. We'll probably do it late in the afternoon. And then looking ahead, your 5-day forecast shows tomorrow being a very nice day. Plenty of sunshine. Still cool, though, but then it gets better, right? Friday, lots of sunshine, highs near 60. We might do it. Saturday, same story. Lots of sunshine, temps in the low to mid-60s. And then probably a couple rain showers late Sunday to Monday. A healthier rain gets in here probably late Monday to Tuesday of next week with temperatures in the 60s.
All righty, Jeff, looking pretty good.
Pretty dandy.
Yeah.
We will take it.
We'll be right back after the break.
We're lucky to live in Maine. We have a wealth of natural resources, hardworking people, and time for the things that matter. Mechanical Services is all about Maine, with energy efficiency that protects our environment and helps businesses grow. Preventive maintenance and energy solutions that save money. How Maine is that? Mechanical Services. We're everywhere you are in Maine.
Spring is here, and so are the savings at the Furniture Gallery. Relax with a reclining sofa and recliner for only $9.98. Opening up camp, queen mattresses starting at $188, and sleeper sofas starting at $598. Power lift recliners also starting at $598, or save $100 on medical grade lift recliners. All Flex Steel now 10% off, and all Bombasset bedroom sets 20% off. It's easy to buy at the Furniture Gallery with 18-month 0% interest financing. The Furniture Gallery.
Corendia presents the ABCs of CKD. C is for chronic, because chronic kidney disease and type 2 diabetes gets worse over time. K is for kidneys, because kidney damage can lead to kidney failure and dialysis. D is for doing more to protect your kidneys. Corendia is for adults with CKD and type 2 diabetes and is a once-daily tablet that is proven to reduce the risk of kidney failure, which can lead to dialysis. Corendia also slows the progression of kidney damage and reduces the risk of cardiovascular events such as heart attacks. Do not take Corendia if you have problems with your adrenal glands or take certain medications called CYP3A4 inhibitors. Corendia can cause high potassium levels in your blood. Tell your doctor about all the medicines you take and ask before taking potassium supplements or salt substitutes containing potassium. Corendia can also cause low blood pressure and low blood sodium. Kidney damage from CKD and type 2 diabetes is not reversible. Don't wait to ask your doctor if Corendia is right for you.
Tonight's sports is brought to you by the KG. Stop in for hunting and fishing supplies, apparel, and homemade food.
Welcome back in, everyone. Thank you for staying with us. We're going to start out with some playoffs, and we'll kick it off on the hardwood down at TD Garden. The Celtics trying to take a 2-0 series lead on the Heat before heading to Miami. Jason Tatum ready to lead his Celtics into battle. We're going to pick it up in the second quarter. Celtics up 1. Jaylen Brown with it. He pulls up and hits the 3. Brown had a game-high 33-point. Celtics up 4. Third quarter now, Heat up 3. Tyler Hero with it. He's going to drive and lob this one up for Bam Adebayo, who comes down and slams it home. Adebayo had 21 points and 10 rebounds. Heat up 5. Later in the third, Celtics now down 7. Al Horford gets it, catches, feeds a cutting Jason Tatum for the dunk. Huge slam. Tatum with 28 points. To the fourth quarter we go now. Celtics down 5. Celtics down 5 after that. Fourth quarter, Heat up 6. Jamie Jaquez Jr. knocks down a 3, puts the Heat up 9. Later in the fourth we go. Heat up 6 still. Caleb Martin gets it wide open, and he hits the 3. Pat Riley is loving it. The Godfather, Martin, had 21 points. Heat up 9 moments later. Actually, Celtics fall 111 to 101. All right, to the ice now to Toronto, where the Bruins are tied 1-1 with the Maple Leafs heading into Game 3. Bruins split at home, trying to take a 2-1 lead over Toronto. We're going to pick it up in the third period. Game tied 1-1. Brad Marchand fires a wrister. Save made, but rebound goes to Jake DeBrusk, and he gives Boston a 2-1 lead. Still in the third, a little bit later now. Morgan Riley with it, centers it for Tyler Bertuzzi. Right place, right time. He beats Jeremy Swayman. This game is tied up at 2. Just about a minute later, the Bruins would come again. Danton Heinen from behind the net finds Brad Marchand, who fires and scores to give Boston a lead. Let's see that one from a different angle. The captain coming through in the clutch in the playoffs, and that would be the game winner. Jeremy Swayman would hold serve in net. Bees go on to win it 4-2. They take the series lead heading into Game 4. Let's stay on the ice now. Maine men's hockey with a pretty successful offseason thus far, coming off their best year in over a decade. The Black Bears reaching the NCAA tournament for the first time since 2012 this past season. It was announced earlier in the week that captains Lyndon Breen and David Brazil would return next year, as well as Josh Nadeau, who had 18 goals and 45 points last season. And Maine staff has picked up some great recruits, not only as incoming freshmen, but out of the transfer portal, including Colorado Avalanche draft pick Taylor Makar and Colgate's leading scorer Ross Milton. Overall, head coach Ben Barr says they may have their deepest team yet.
I think it'll be the deepest team we've ever had. To me, it's just about, do we have 20 guys dressed every night that are capable of thriving in this environment? And, that's been what we've been pushing for the last 3 years. And, I think we're as close to that as ever. And hopefully we're there. And if we're there, like you saw, like our guys believe that we can go the distance. And that's what the goal is.
All right, that is good to hear for any Maine hockey fan. Let's head over to Hamden Academy now. Tuesday night, the school being named a Special Olympics Unified Champion School for the second time. Our Ryan Sudol reports on how inclusion for the school goes way beyond the playing field.
Not just for the people with intellectual disabilities, not just for the unified partners. It is for the whole community.
Choosing to include has paid off for Hamden Academy, as they have become the first school in northern Maine to ever be named a Special Olympics Unified Champion School twice.
How does it feel to be recognized as a Unified Champion School?
Pretty good. We did it again. We got a lot of people that care and invest a lot of time in these Special Olympics for these unified athletes and partners, so it's great what we got going.
But what goes into being given such an honor, let alone twice in the last 8 years?
They met 10 standards of excellence, which just talk about how their whole school is really inclusive, and it's like built into the framework of their school.
And beyond just giving students with disabilities a chance to play sports, Hamden's Unified Club really does go the extra mile.
Looking around, seeing if kids at the lunch table don't have somebody to sit and eat with. We have a leadership class. They'll come out and help with motor skills. We're really trying to incorporate everybody.
At most every Unified Champion school, the program leads to a more positive atmosphere with less bullying across the board. And it's no different here.
I see very minimal bullying, making fun of at our school. This is just bringing people together.
Do you feel like you've made friends?
Yes.
And it's no surprise that with all that they do, Hamden Academy is considered the standard bearer for inclusion in the Pine Tree State.
We've had other schools say we're their role model and they want to be like that, and we want to keep that going.
In Hamden, I'm Ryan Sudol, ABC 7, Fox 22 Sports.
And finally, we will go to some high school lacrosse. Bangor and Hamden Academy boys squaring off for their first meeting of the season over at Cameron Stadium. Broncos looking for their first win over Bangor as a program. First quarter, Hamden threatening. Gabe Thornwall rips a shot, but what a heads-up save by Ty Walker in net. Later on, Bangor doing the same, and there's Cole Mazzi on the doorstep. Nice fake as he drops it in. 1-0 Rams. To the second quarter we go, and it's going to be Thornwall again running with it. He's going to catch Evan Vives in stride. He's going to score to tie this thing up at 1. Now it's going to be Keith Brooks getting it ahead to Vives, and he again shoots and scores. Broncos lead 2-1. They would go on to win it 5-4. And that is all the time we have for sports. We'll be right back after the break.
At
At the Toyota Spring Savings Event, great selection means lots of great savings deals. You could get 1.99% financing on most Tundra hybrid and gas models. See your New England Toyota dealer, your all-wheel drive headquarters. Toyota, let's go places.
We've been on this property for 47 years. What I've learned along the way is the better tools you have, the easier the job and the better job you get.
He is a former owner of another brand, tractor. He wanted green.
Everything has to be pruned and cut, and there's a lot of stuff that has to get moved. You can't get any more American than John Deere, I don't think.
They don't write songs about any other tractor company. It's John Deere.
Experience United, your local John Deere dealer.
Fires, floods, burst pipes. Disasters happen, but the mess they leave behind doesn't have to last. For 40 years, Bouchard Cleaning and Restoration has been there to help Mainers get back to the closest to normal as they can. When your property is at its worst, Bouchard Cleaning and Restoration is at their best, and they have been for 4 decades. Put your trust in the Bouchard team. Bouchard Cleaning and Restoration. You keep the memories, we'll handle the rest.
Great Scott! This is Green Bear 420 in 2010. What kind of trip is this? I gotta get back to 2023. Wait, it's 2015. So much has changed. In 2023, we had a lot more glass, t-shirts, and novelties. It's gonna take a bolt of lightning to get me home. Finally, home at last. Now Green Bear 420, Green Bear Green Care is bigger and better than ever. To be continued.
Hello, Ghostbusters! It's Doug. We help people customize and save hundreds on car insurance with Liberty Mutual. We got a bit of a situation. Sure, I can hold.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
In theaters now.
Hanks Husqvarna is your full-line Husqvarna dealer with 2 convenient locations. 32 Old State Road in Carmel and 19 Moosehead Trail in Newport. Whether it's tractors and zero turns, chainsaws to trimmers, or pressure washers to battery power. Everything is set up, serviced, and ready to go by our certified Husqvarna technician. And all sales are backed by our in-house Husqvarna warranty.
For parts, service, or sales, stop in to Hanks Husqvarna, Carmel or Newport.
Hi, Eastern Maine. Watch 25 Words or Less with me, Meredith Vieira, weekdays at 9 a.m. after Good Morning Maine on Fox 22.
As we head into summer and Mainers begin to de-winterize their boats and put them back in the water, it's important to remember that a new law went into effect on the 1st of this year. Anyone who was born on or after January 1st of 1999 may not operate a boat with an engine of 25 horsepower or greater unless that person is 12 years old or older and has completed a boater safety course. This law pertains to all recreational boating activities on Maine's coastal and inland waters. The Department of Marine Resources is reminding boaters to obtain a certificate through state-approved boating education courses.
These courses teach folks about everything from navigation to boat maintenance to overall safety. So it's really important. There's not a lot of room for error when things go wrong on the water.
Well, to learn more about these courses, you can head to our website.
Some people know from a very young age exactly what they want to do with their lives and their careers. And for Alexandria Hinrichs of Bangor, that meant becoming a children's book author. The 39-year-old successfully published 3 different children's books last year. And on Wednesday, she stopped by the Patricia A. Duran Elementary School in Herman to share her experience with students. Our Jody Hersey stopped by.
If you write, you're a writer.
39-year-old Alexandra Hinrichs has lived in Massachusetts, France, Thailand, and Wisconsin before eventually relocating to Bangor, Maine with her family. She most recently worked as a school librarian in Old Town while raising 3 young sons and pursuing her lifelong passion of becoming a children's author. To say she had a full plate is an understatement.
I was getting to the point where I was having to say no to more and more events, and I wanted to be able to say yes.
In 2023, her books I Am Made of Mountains, The Lobster Lady, and The Pocketbook were published. This year, she decided to become a full-time writer. She says doing so is allowing her to visit more schools, book fairs, and bookstores. On Wednesday, she was at the Patricia A. Duran Elementary School in Herman to speak with students.
When they learned that an author was coming and was going to be here in person, they were so excited. We haven't been able to do that since COVID.
Hinrichs shared with students how she worked as a researcher, a librarian, and a bookseller, all before becoming an author herself. Her determination to never give up really resonated with the kids.
You can do whatever you want if you try. She always knew if she just kept working, she could do what she wanted to.
Hinrichs says she hopes her experience inspires others to do what they love.
I just hope kids come away with a sense of wonder and curiosity about their own lives and communities and the worlds around them. That, for me, would be the greatest gift.
In Herman, I'm Jody Hersey for ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
A sophomore from Maine Maritime Academy is being honored as a hero for rescuing an injured animal earlier this month. Our Matthew Juronsik has the story.
On April 13th, Aiden Connolly was traveling along the Interstate 295 past the West Gardner Service Plaza when he saw something in the road you'd never expect, an injured bald eagle.
It looked like a piece of trash, some trash bag that had fallen out of the back of someone's bed of the truck or something.
Experts attending to the eagle's injuries say the bird was hit by a car at a rate of 70 miles per hour. Connolly says after finding out it was an eagle, he quickly pulled over and jumped into action to save the bird. With the help of another passerby, they were able to get the eagle off the side of the road and transport it to Center for Wildlife in Cape Nettic.
He did suffer not only the fracture, the bone actually did rupture through the wing and internal bleeding.
Wednesday, we had the opportunity to check on the eagle's health. How is the bald eagle doing?
So he is stable. He's definitely been through the ringer. He's perching. We do have to hand feed him food. He's not feeling well enough to eat on his own, but he is eating and, maintaining weight.
Center for Wildlife's Executive Director Kristen Lim applauds Connolly for his quick thinking in saving this endangered species.
Kudos to Aiden, and we are always just so inspired by people taking action for wildlife.
It was just honestly a breathtaking experience. I really couldn't ask for anything better. It was an amazing way to spend my Saturday morning,
Lamb says the bird is currently in critical condition, but is slowly progressing back to full health. She also says the eagle will need 3 to 4 weeks for the fracture to heal, followed by another 3 to 4 weeks of rehab in an outdoor enclosure before being released. Matthew Juronsik, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
So a long road ahead, but, happy that he's got a fighting chance and that someone was kind enough and observant enough to, see what was going on and do something.
Yeah, they mentioned it just looked like a piece of trash on the road. You got to imagine so many people would see that and not even take a second glance. So,
right.
Amazing that we got to speak with that person and that they went as far to help rescue that bird.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. Eagles are so majestic. Yeah. They're wonderful. And, if you go to Acadia, you might just see one or two.
You might just.
All right. Well, that is going to do it for us, folks, from everyone here at Fox 22 News. Good night.